Hey there, welcome back to the Happiness IRA, where we talk about how money weaves itself into your life. Today we're going to be talking about what it means to step into the driver's seat of your financial situation when your spouse passes away. I have 6 things that you need to do in the first 6 months after your spouse passes away. So let's get started. Number 1 is to be present with your family. I know you're probably looking for absolutely practical things, checklists that you can write down, but this is one of the most essential things. The fact is that your family needs you. And just be present with them in the time frame where you're all thinking and remembering your loved one is so pivotal to your ability to continue to cope. What people want to do is to find all of those checklist items and frantically go through them after their spouse passes away. But I've found that if you just take a small break, be present with your family, you will be better able to engage with those checklist items when they need to be checked off. And that's not in that first week. Number 2, call your financial advisor. This is why it's really important to have one person in charge of your finances. Some people like to diversify their financial advisors, but what that ends up happening is that it's just a big mess for the person who is picking up the pieces when their spouse passes. Our financial lives end up being kind of messy, especially as we accumulate more and more wealth. We might have multiple accounts here or there with different purposes. And so if we have one person as our financial advisor quarterbacking all of those transitions for us when our spouse passes away, it's a lot easier for us to go through that process. Giving your financial advisor a phone call right after the death of your spouse ends up being super important because the financial advisor will end up contacting all of the companies and gathering all of those paperwork items that need to be completed by you or your family members. The third item on our checklist is to purchase 10 to 15 death certificates. Death certificates are not necessarily cheap. In Ohio, they're $21.50, so people try to get by with as few as possible. But really, what that's going to do, yes, it's a short-term fix, it's less cash out of your pocket today, but it's going to give you higher anxiety later when you're going through the paperwork process. So getting 10 to 15 is going to give you enough where if a bank needs to hold on to the original or a mutual fund company needs to hold on to the original, you can keep that and you can continue to work through your checklist of things that need to be processed. So make sure to get 10 to 15. And I give that range because the more complicated your financial situation, probably better to lean towards the 15, but 10 would probably cover most people's situation. Item number 4 is to take a break before you jump into the paperwork process. If you're not in a cash crunch, then it would be worth giving yourself at least 2 to 4 weeks of a break where you can kind of let the event settle in. You lost a spouse. That's a huge life change for you. And there's a whole bunch of responsibilities that are going to be coming to you. And you're not quite fully ready to embrace those until you've given yourself time to settle with this event that's happened. When we rush too quickly to get all of these items checked off our list, we actually bring in our emotions to the process and then we forget what's happening. It's too anxiety ridden and we can't fully comprehend what's going on. So give yourself some space, take that 2 to 4 weeks off to just kind of settle and then set up that meeting with your financial advisor. So that takes us right into item number 5, which is getting that appointment with your financial advisor. A good financial advisor is going to do all of the paperwork for you and have that ready to go so that you know, I just need to bring in 4 death certificates, I'm going to sign these forms that they have out in front of me, and I'm going to provide this information for my beneficiaries. That's it. As a financial advisor myself, I want to take as much of the stress of the clutter off of your desk, so I want to make it as easy a process when you do finally come in to do that death claim. Item number 6 is to create a decision-free zone. Now this is a term created by Susan Bradley, the author of Sudden Money. And what she says is that we need space to fully realize what this money means in our life. If I receive a check for $250,000, that might feel like a lot of money. And so I might feel the burden of that money in my bank account. And in order to relieve myself of that burden, I might try to gift it to my kids or take my kids on a great vacation or maybe even equalize it with my siblings, maybe try to make things feel more fair in my mind. But the fact is that when we receive this lump sum of money from our spouse, from a parent, what we do with it can really change the trajectory of our life. So if we spend it too quickly, tapping into those feelings of guilt, we might make poor decisions with them. So instead, we create a decision-free zone. We just choose not to make any decisions, whether that's investment decisions or gifting decisions, etc., etc. That decision-free zone should be between 3 and 6 months. All right, friends, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it greatly. If you found this information to be helpful, I hope that you will subscribe to this channel because I create a video a week on various topics revolving around your finances and how money weaves itself into your life. With that, I will leave you and you take care.